Hey friends, and welcome to Mom Talk Maryland. I'm your host, Claire Duarte, founder of the Columbia Mom, and this is your spot for real conversations, local love, and a whole lot of community. Whether you're folding laundry, running errands, or hiding in your car for some peace and quiet, let's dive in. All right, you ready?
I think so.
You think so?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, I'm so excited to have you here, Josh. This has been in the making for us.
We've known each other for years now.
Isn't that crazy? Yes. Well, that's what's kind of like even more exciting and why I love to do the podcast. You've obviously done many podcasts too, but one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast is like we get to go a little bit deeper. We get to I always love starting off with an origin story. Obviously, I know your business in and out, but you've also grown and evolved over the years too. So, and you're kind of like kicking off your season now. So it's just actually it's like perfect timing, really, because your season's basically just kicked off, which we'll talk a lot about. But anyways, without further ado, we have Josh Levy of Maryland Clean, which is I'll let you talk about the evolution of that. But tell us about your business. And then I want you to go back because I want to know how and why, why bins? Why cleaning bins? You know what I mean? Like of all the things you could do with your life, yep. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think it's incredibly interesting and that's why it always caught my eye. But let me toss back over to you.
All right. No, I appreciate that. Interestingly enough, so it started during COVID. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we were all home. I was on TikTok. I saw a video about bin cleaning and I thought it was interesting. Conceptually, I thought it was a cool idea. Didn't really know if it would take off, if everyone needed their bins cleaned. Long story short, I found out that there was a manufacturer of these bins down in Miami, Florida. Gave the guy a call. I reached out to the owner of the company. We had a conversation. He's originally from New Jersey, where I'm from. His corporate story kind of resonated with me. Same old story, right? His wife was having a party. They wanted the bins cleaned. He got out there with the hose, cleaned it, realized that there had to be a better way. Long story short, he's now the number one manufacturer of these bin cleaning trucks in America. I threw him a deposit. I really didn't think too much of it. My wife and I talked. She's like, dude, we live in Howard County, great area, a lot of good secure, jobs with the government and everything. Yeah. So we jumped in. There was no real big plan. We just said, hey, we're going to buy a trash bin cleaning truck. And,
right.
And we were in. I never had experience with the service industry, never had owned a small business. But I figured it was a problem, right? Everyone has trash bins. Yeah. Typically, they're dirty. They're trash bins. Yep. Nobody really wants to clean them. And I looked in the area. There was 4 bin cleaners, 3 in the state of Maryland when I first started. So I was the 4th bin cleaner in Maryland. Obviously really big in the warm weather states, Florida, Texas, California. Sure. But growing up the East Coast and growing in the colder weather. And, I had always coached my kids' sports. I have 4 kids combined with my wife and blended family. And I had always coached sports and been involved, worked for Howard County government. Yep. And, wanted to do something that could connect me with the community, that I could give back in a way. And so here we are now. This is year 4, just started end of March. Yep.
We have, and I think that's funny because we also started business around the same time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, because I'm coming into the summer will be 4 years. Mm-hmm. That's so funny.
And you and I connected, I think, year 1, and you've been a great supporter of my business. So thank you for that. And,
I just remember seeing it pop up and I was like, what is this? Because again, it's crazy to say that you're the 4th in Maryland. I mean, I wonder, you might know geographically where they are. Because again, I haven't definitely seen. Maybe are there some like on the East Coast?
So there's one on the Eastern Shore.
That makes sense.
There's another guy down in kind of PG County.
Yeah.
There's another guy out towards Westminster. Now there's quite a few of us. There's probably 10 plus in the state now.
Funny. Yeah.
But I'm Howard County's first and only still. We cover all of Howard County, parts of Anne Arundel County, and a little bit into Carroll County is kind of my area. And most of us in the state of Maryland will throw referrals to each other. We kind of respect each other's service territories, and it's been a great community.
Yeah, that's wild. So 4 years in business. Now, originally you were Maryland Clean Bins was the OG name, and then you guys evolved a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to name it MD Clean. That's what we called MD Clean, and originally it was MD Clean Bin and Dumpster. We don't love cleaning dumpsters. We'll do them, obviously.
Right.
We've had a couple local restaurants. We do some work for Howard County government at the landfill. So we do some dumpsters, but the truck specifically is meant for residential bin cleaning. So that's what we focused on, and that's why we bought this specific truck.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've talked to me about like some of the different services that you guys have and how that's evolved. And I'm curious, I don't know if that's evolved anymore since the last time I talked to you, but now that we're in year 4, what's that looking like for you?
Yeah,
this year?
it has. I mean, obviously, look, again, like I said, bin cleaning is the core business of what we want to do. But we've gotten into, we do some commercial work. So we do trash chute cleaning. So apartments that have trash chutes in them, we have a special device that cleans and sanitizes the trash chutes. We've gotten into power washing. Our truck is, in essence, a giant power washer. Specific, has the lifters on the back that lift the bins, but it's a giant power washer. So now we've gotten more into surface cleaning and house washing and fence cleaning. We've done some fleet washing. So, if anybody has a lot of vehicles out there, we've done fleet washing. Really anything, I call it exterior cleaning that involves water, right? That's basically our niche and our specialty.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that puts Maryland Clean together so well. You know what I mean? And I remember, I think was it going into year 2 is when you started being able to do like the trash chutes, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's grown. We have customers in commercial wise. We'll travel, right? So I have some property managers that we work with in Annapolis, down in DC, Silver Spring area. So for that, we'll travel. But again, for the residential bin cleaning, it's really more focused on the Howard County
Absolutely.
area.
No, that makes sense, especially when you're doing like, either hopefully, groups of neighborhoods and things like that. Yeah,
that's the big thing, right? If we can get in, it's a service industry. We're driving around, fuel prices we were just talking about are through the roof, right? So what makes us, when we started the business, is we would take almost any customer that wanted our bin cleaning service, right? We were trying to get our name out there, but if Howard County, driving from Mount Airy border up to Elk Ridge is some windshield time, right? We've started to work with some communities, some HOAs in the area, and really try and condense those routes. We work with some local realtors, property managers, because that's the biggest efficiency in my business is getting multiple people within a community, and then we can offer discounts to communities. And funny story, if I could, real quick,
of course,
because you asked me kind of how I got started. So one of the funny stories that I have is that I brought the truck to the Harris Teeters in Maple Lawn. Used to bring it there on Sundays. I do my food grocery shopping, just some branding and advertising. And a guy stopped me, came outside, and he's like, I have to ask, what is this truck? I've never seen it before. So we started talking, and long story short, he happens to be on the board of a local HOA where you have to keep your trash bins inside the garage. And he said, do you work
Was he local to that area?
He is. He's part of Wincopia Farms, which is over towards Maple Lawn area. But anyhow, Daryl was one of the first people I've ever met who asked questions about my truck. He thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Daryl, still to this day, I'm giving him a shout out. Daryl Lemons, I'm giving you a shout out. He has been a huge supporter, just like you. He's followed my business since day one. He even just texted me recently and said, hey, I want to put, in our community Facebook group, a shout out to you and remind people how great your service are. So, there's customers like Daryl, there's people like you that have just been, proponents of it and help get the word out there. And so I thank Daryl for that, because Wincopia Farms now is a community that we've grown from, one customer to probably 10, 20 customers in the neighborhood.
I love that stuff. And that's like the best part of it. And actually obviously I had you on the podcast today too, but like with the weather being warmer today, I'm pulling in my trash bin, and I have a sticker, on my, so I always think about it, but I was just like, but the warm weather, is when you start to think about it. And and again, of course, I'm always going to plug your business, but, before I knew about your business and what it did, to be honest, it was never something like a service that probably most people don't necessarily think of or think to do. And yes, in the warmer states, you probably think of it a lot more because you're going to be even more prone to like rodents and more animals. In our area, not as much, maybe in like Western Maryland when you've got, they got more bears and stuff like that. But, we're still prone to like lots of insects and things like that, and just smell.
Absolutely. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, when we have our warmer months here in Maryland, right, more towards, we got a warm week right now, but it's really, July, August that it heats up. That's when our phone really starts ringing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The warm weather brings, the germs and the bacteria, which ultimately leads to the maggots and the smell, and then the insects and the rodents. So that's usually when we get a lot of calls is more, warmer weather.
Yeah, of course.
But there's also, and look, I say this to everybody, right? It's not for everybody. Not everyone cares.
Right. And it doesn't have to be, right?
No.
And that's totally fine.
But there is people that, do care about maintaining their bins, whether it's like, maintaining their car or their house, right? Some people are like, oh, it's a trash bin. It's meant to be dirty. Pulling a nasty trash can in a 95-degree summer day with some leftover food and the smell. And I'll be honest with you, it's actually our recycling bins that are typically worse than the trash bins.
Wow.
Because trash bins, most people bag their trash, right? But the recycling bin, milk containers, and all this other stuff just gets all in the bins, and they can be pretty gross.
That is so true. Well, and also, again, when I first met you and started with you guys too, we had 2 kids in diapers. 4 years ago, well, what's her age? She's going to be 8. Oh, okay, no, maybe she was out of, but still, like, you know what I mean? Or she was still in pull-ups, you know what I mean? Or at night. So I was like, diapers and heat is just like the worst, you know what I mean?
That's what we hear from people like Daryl, again, just to use Daryl as an example, or even a Maple Lawn community. We work with, if I can give another shout out, Brian Saver we're getting ready to team up with Brian again this year. He's kind of the realtor of Maple Lawn, and we have grown our relationship in Maple Lawn. But again, communities, and I'm not saying it's just for communities where people keep their trash bins in the garage, but yes, if you have kids in diapers, if you have, just even me, I have an elementary and middle school and 2 high schoolers. They come home, they just throw their stuff in the trash bin. They don't put it in bags, right? And you get those warm weather days, and and then if your trash bin's in your garage and you're touching your trash bin, or you're touching the handles to your car, or you're touching the doorknob to go into your house, you're carrying those germs and bacteria, or grabbing your little baby out of the back seat, right? You're contaminating everything with those same germs and bacteria.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think is neat about it is like, any one of us can hose our stuff down, but like I don't think there's any part of me that would ever want to take my hand and a rag and wipe down my own. Like, I'll use the jet function on my hose, and I'll point it in there, but I don't think I want to do anything else.
But even that, so we tell people all the time, yes, you could take a hose and you can do your trash. You could take a broom or a mop, you can scrub it out. You could pour some bleach in there. I don't know what you're going to do with it, because if you pour it out,
I was going to say you
can't pour it into the storm drains, right? Because they go to the Chesapeake. You can't pour it on your grass. It's going to kill your grass. And the good thing is, I don't want to do that either. Our truck does 99% of this work for you. So we come to your curb. You leave your bins out for trash or recycling. We come later on in the day. We pull up curbside. We basically power wash the outside of your trash bin. We raise the trash bin over our truck. We use 200-degree water, which you don't have at your house. We use almost 3,000 PSI. That's the pounds of the pressure of the water that we use. And we basically blast the inside of the bin 360 degrees, and we capture all of that dirty water, right? So we take that dirty with us. We dispose of that properly to Howard County water reclamation plants. But we are basically using the high temperatures, kill 99% of the germs and bacteria. Then we deodorize it with a nice citrus smell. And then we dry it off. So you couldn't do that, doing it yourself at home, right? You don't have the water, the pressure, and the means of what we do. And I'll tell you, we've had some pretty nasty trash bins. Yeah. And most customers, after we're done, think that it's a brand new trash can.
Oh, right? It absolutely does. And I was going to say, when we first started, we were newer. I mean, now we've been here 7 years, which is wild. Actually, almost to the day. So 4 years ago, we would only been here like 3 years in, you know what I mean? So so they were newer to us, but still, you know what I mean? I was still like amazed. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? But it's also, but just like you said, it's the deodorize and sanitize. Like, it's that combo, I think when you're cleaning your bins, like, the most important part is like getting it clean, getting the smell out, but it's like literally being sanitized. Yes. And that I think is so key, regardless of, like you said, maybe here in Maryland, maybe we're not immensely prone to like lots of the critters or a heavy amount of insects, because I think the majority of us have to keep our bins like either up by the house or in the garage kind of thing. So I think we're, again, less prone to as many of those here, but still, like, the smell and just the idea that I know that it's not just clean smelling, it's literally clean.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and I feel like that's something I would have never thought of. And it's sort of like, especially during the warm months, it's kind of like that out of sight, out of mind, like knowing. And okay, when you can talk about this now too, you have the services that's kind of like, it's like a built-in monthly, so you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. So we offer, so people can call us. They have a party or a crab feast or some event, right?
Yeah.
And they want their bins cleaned. They can call us and just get a one-time bin cleaning. Yeah. But we do offer all kinds of packages, monthly, quarterly. We've done custom packages. I have one lady who's bi-weekly. She wants them done every other week. We have people every other month. So we will customize a package. But by far, our quarterly service is, to me, what makes the most sense and what most people sign up for. you don't really need your bin cleaned every single month. It's at that point we start coming and the bins are pretty much clean when we get there, right? But quarterly seems to make sense. And then you're maintaining it as well, right? If you just do the one-time service, you're cleaning it, it's getting gross again. But whereas you do it monthly or quarterly, you're kind of maintaining it and you're keeping that nice clean bin and it's usually not smelling too bad.
Right, absolutely. I mean, the most times we've done it, we like, especially like during the season, we did monthly because it was like, okay, it's like, it's hot, it's warm. So again, it's kind of just like done and taken care of. But I feel like either of those options are great, like the monthly or the quarterly. Again, it's sort of done for you. And this is not, and this is just my plug, like to you and to everybody. Like this is not an expensive service. Like it's great. Like it's really cost effective. Yep. It's something you can just easily like add in, and again, like it's just kind of done for you.
Absolutely, yeah. Prices start at like $35 a month, so it's not expensive. A couple Starbucks coffees, I like to compare it to.
Right, yeah.
But it's like it's set it and forget it, right? We're going to text you the day before as a reminder we're coming. We text sometimes in the morning just saying the driver's en route, reminder, leave your bins out.
Yep.
We text you when we're complete. We just switched over to a new software, so now it saves before and after pictures in your account.
Whoa.
You can go in, you can add scheduling. It gives you getting better with the times. Much better software for us, much easier for people to sign up, schedule, and see when your next scheduled cleaning is, or to even sign up for additional services. Again, we mentioned power washing, house cleaning, window screen cleaning. We have a special little device that cleans window screens.
Very cool.
So any of that now you can do right there in your customer portal, or again, on our website.
That's nice. I was going to say, because again, this is also power washing season. Everyone, wants to be outside. Well, I was going to say, we were talking about pollen too. It's like we want to be outside, but we're fighting for our lives a little bit.
True.
But, it's like the time to get your your front stoop, or like for half of Columbia, all of our concrete driveways.
Yes,
got a lot of concrete driveways.
And that's the other thing too, just like bin cleaning. You can power wash yourself as well, right? There's plenty of people out there that go to Home Depot and buy, your DeWalt power washer or whatever it is, and that's fine as well.
Yeah.
But again, our equipment is professional grade equipment. We use professional grade, both chemicals and soaps, depending on, what we're cleaning. And we're professionals, right? We're going to we're licensed and insured. We're going to do a really good job. And so, happy to give anybody a proposal for any of that work.
Right.
Well.
Absolutely. Well, and I do think, like, again, if anyone who has ever done power washing, I have not, God bless, because I always had babies and I was like, I'm not going to be standing outside in this heat. And like, for how long it takes. I mean, I know there's bigger brushes, as opposed to just some of the little ones or whatever, but it's very time consuming. You know what I mean? And it's like, I look at it too, especially with kids, it's like it's your time or your money, like on the weekends, and I know that we're in quite a state of economy right now too, to be able to say that, but when you've got kids, and regardless of whether you've got sports, if it's a nice weekend, do you want to be out power washing, or do you want to be with your family?
That's it. Yeah. And we had a couple, that's a great example, right? I mean, you and I were just talking about our kids and sports, but I just had a really nice couple call me from Odenton the other day. The husband has power washed the deck and the fence every year for the last couple of years, and he's getting older, and he's like, it's a pain, right? He's like, I don't want to go out there, sweat all this stuff outside, bust my butt, on a Saturday or Sunday. He's like, I have better things.
Hours. I feel like 4 hours is what I think it will take. It's all day.
Absolutely.
It's all day. And
to your point, go do something better. Enjoy the weather.
Well, and again, my father's very fit. My father-in-law, they're both fit, but I'm like, they are cooked, by the end of it. And that was probably, they probably put in at least 8 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just what I look like when I come home from a power washing job and how I feel.
Right, exactly. So, but you also have high-end equipment, so that I would think that for the stuff that, yes, it's still time consuming, but you have very high end and efficient equipment that I think is going to get the job done probably a little bit better than your Home Depot.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is the efficiency, right? The time and the effort it takes me to do it, getting the right supplies, the right materials, the right process of doing it versus you going out there and trying to figure out how to do it. We have a very clear process that we follow when we're doing residential house cleaning, and it's a pretty efficient process.
Well, that, and I'll say too, is like you mentioned, like deck. I feel like that's something you have to be careful of depending on the type of deck you have. Like we have like a wood deck, or I don't know what type of wood, but it's real wood or whatever. So like
compared to the
when
composite.
So when my father-in-law power washed it one time, like it looked like very like fresh, but it was splintery.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we have little kids, and so and then when we have people over, it was like a death trap.
Absolutely.
Because of course during the summer, like we want to. I mean, half the time we're in shoes when we walk out there, but you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
now I really want to, like, it desperately needs to be power washed again, but I'm like terrified to do it.
Yep. It's so funny. I mean, we warn people when they ask us about wood decks. We actually replaced our wood deck with like a Trex composite
We need to,
deck.
but it's, yeah.
But you know what the funny thing is? So we replaced our deck, and we love it, and it's gorgeous, and we back up to the woods, and we use it a lot. But with the Trex deck, for us, right, the way we get the sun or we don't get the sun because we're shaded by some of the trees, we get a lot of mildew on the deck. So a nice white deck now looks green typically at the start of every season. So hence power washing, right? We come in and we take that green algae growth off the side of your house or off your deck. We just did a job in Columbia this weekend where we did a front and back patio. I wish I could show you the before and afters because their front patio was basically black. Their back patio, pavers kind of patio was really green and dark.
Yeah.
It almost changed the color, changed the whole curb
It
appeal of their
does.
house, you know, when everything was clean and nice looking.
It does.
So.
Well, and it's so funny you say that about the, so we back up to, we have houses on the other side too, but we have like a big birch. Our neighborhood clearly loved birch trees. They're great because they're massive trees, so they'll take up a lot of like space, but they just dump.
I hear you.
Dump everything for the whole season. We cut down 4 birches and our neighborhood lost their mind, but it was necessary. And anyways, but the birch that we have next to us is our neighbors. And anyway, so that whole side of our deck is just green.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's where it starts. And we have that, like, I don't love the color, but it's because it was, we bought the house used, but you know what I mean? We were not the original owners. So it's got like that reddish wood. So now it's like reddish wood and like green. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but yeah, no. And then again, like half of Columbia, like 90% of Columbia is concrete patios, concrete driveways, concrete stoops. You know what I mean? That gets like, even if I power washed it last year, but still by this time.
Right back.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I drive through Columbia, I drive through Ellicott City on a daily basis. And you see these houses. You can always tell, like, the north-facing wall, which doesn't get a lot of sun, is like that one green wall, and you can drive through a neighborhood, and it's like every other house has got this green wall. Some people don't care. Some people, like you just said, if you do pay to get it cleaned or you clean it yourself, you're right back at it another year later. We do offer people kind of a maintenance program, too. Like, if they want to sign up for, an annual house cleaning, we give it at a significantly discounted offer.
That's, again, that's probably another great, like, do it and don't think about it because, again, if you're like, again, some people don't care. It's not that it's one of those things like, oh, I don't care. But then like we love to spend our time out there and then looking at like, I'm like, I just power washed that a year ago. How is it black again? Because again, it also depends on where your trees are and we get a lot of shade in that part. You know what I mean? So yeah.
But it's just like getting your lawn cleaned, right? If you knew at the beginning of spring every year, Josh and MD Clean was going to come out and clean up your house as you bring your grill out and you start having people over at the pool and everything. It's just another thing to not have to worry about.
I know, exactly. It's like we don't think, of course, like we have like, a landscaper that comes because we're not. I also said like the first year we moved in, we didn't hire a landscaper because we were like, oh, let's just see what it's like. And then I was like immediately, nope. We always like, we are not going to spend our time. Like we want to spend our time with, we had a brand new baby and I was like, no, like we are not spending hours out here. Like we deserve to like relax.
I've been doing it every year until this year, and Jess and I had a conversation last weekend, and she's like, you may want to pay somebody to get the lawn cut. Like, you just don't have the time, right? And
I can't believe you were doing it that long.
I enjoy doing it. To be honest with you, there's something...
There are a lot of men that really do.
I have 4 kids, so if I could put my AirPods on and go disappear for a few hours, it's like, it's my time.
Okay, sorry. This is what I told you. We're going to have tangents. This is one of the tangents. We had my son in June 2020, and... that was a year. I don't think we have cedar wood planking on the house too, which and we had the house repainted, we had the fence repainted, and we're doing all of that. And so I'm like inside with the baby, and I swear that summer when he would come home, he'd be outside for hours. Again, we had a lawn cutter, but I'm like, what are you like? Can you come inside and hold this baby? Like I've been at home for hours with this child, and then like my son was not the sleeper. My daughter was like the angel. She was a sleeper, and I was like, I don't think you understand that I was like, I love this baby, but I've been in a living hell. Come inside and hold your child. But he'd come home and then be like picking up sticks and blowing leaves, and I had to give him a quota of like, you can only blow the leaves once a day. You not 2-3 times. Like who are you blowing these leaves for?
It's very rewarding to blow your leaves and have this clean lawn.
I know. He's got multiple batteries, so he never has to run out. And I'm just like, no, you can't, like blah blah blah. Then so it's funny, I was we were talking about sports a minute ago, and I was like running around picking up all these chairs, and and this guy, he was out there with his lawn, and what day was it? Friday. It wasn't super hot. It was actually kind of nice out, and I had said like, oh yeah, like our landscapers, had just come by too. He was like, yeah, we used to have a landscaper, but he's like from working. He's like, I realized I don't have any hobbies. Oh. He was like, I just needed something else. He's like, I needed something outside of work. And I was like, that is the most, sorry to put you guys in this category, the most man thing to say. But also like, I'm so, like, I'm probably like glad for his wife, like to have realized, like, because I think about like my dad sometimes, like, yes, please do something else that isn't your job, like blah, blah, blah. But he was out there, he was sprinkling by hand. And I was like, you know what? That's good.
Well, I have two neighbors across the street from me that are both retired and their lawns are immaculate. So I'm like, okay, that's their hobby now, right?
Yeah.
They love taking care of the lawn. As much as I love the couple hours of going, you're still busting your butt. Right?
Oh, you are.
I mean, I come in again, talk about power washing, come in from cutting your lawn, you're sweaty, you're nasty, you're dirty, you need a shower. So now suddenly it's like a 3-4 hour, and so it's the same thing with the wife. Like, well, who's making dinner? Who's doing this? Can you help?
Yeah, exactly. So, if someone's doing that, then
and then when you own a business, and you know this obviously, right? Time is money, right?
Yep,
I can work 24/7. I seem like most nights I fall asleep with a laptop on my chest. I wake up first thing, make my coffee, read a book, and then I'm back on my laptop. Yeah. So, time is valuable, right? And again, we have kids, and I want to spend my time with the kids. I want to travel. I want to do those things. I want to grow my business. And when I'm sitting home cutting the lawn, I'm not really doing any of those things, right?
I know. But I hear you, and that's where it's so funny to hear you say, like, you doing it too. But it is about like where you want to put your time. And again, like as a mom, as someone with little kids, and whether you're the mom that's like enlisting these home services, or thinking about like your husband, or if you have like me, like a father or father-in-law that's going to be spending hours out there, you know what I mean? Like, this is you'd be supporting local, but it's I just think I want my time with my family. Absolutely. We were just talking, like, you're doing college tours, and I'm like, I have a kindergartner and a first grader, and as soon as the weather's warm, I'm like, I'm ready to do stuff. Yep. I want to be with you guys, and I want to have fun, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And it's like, how can you take, and again, these are like really cost-effective services. This is not back-breaking services.
That's the thing too. I tell people all the time, right? Like, Jess and I really want to get our kitchen redone, or someone wants to get their roof redone. Those are huge investments, right? Big financial, time-sucking investments. For this, again, like whether it's to get your husband back, or to give your stepfather, your grandfather some time back, right? We are a local business. We're very connected with the community. Our prices are not outrageous, right? No. We are always willing, especially if we know somebody who, again, lives in the community, and maybe they're neighbors. They have some friends in the community, and they say, hey, me and Miss Smith and another lady, 2 or 3 of us want to go in. Would you give us a discount? Absolutely, right? We want to work. We want to make it affordable. We want to give people the chance to get some time back. It doesn't have to involve a lot of your time and effort. You can pick up the phone, go on our website, give us a call, give us an email, send us a text, and we'll be out to help.
I know. Are you doing any other like events this year? I know we always love to see you in the parade and stuff like that.
My kids are like, Dad, I don't know if I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, because 4th. Now they're too cool for it.
That is it. They are too cool for school. But yes, we have done the River Hill parade every single year that we've been in business. We absolutely love it. We give out these little trash cans filled with treats, and our truck gets like mobbed. Like, people come like running up. Do you have the trash bin? So we got extra trash bins this year.
That's awesome.
But the July 4th is our biggest event. It's our favorite thing. We did the Piney Orchard Street Festival last year.
Nice.
We're going to do that again this year. Really great turnout. Really great community support in Piney Orchard. But we'll do Touch a Truck events. There's a temple in Maple Lawn. We do a Touch a Truck event with them each year. We were just invited up to, probably won't go, but up to the Frederick Fairgrounds. They're doing a big Touch a Truck event, a little outside of our service area, so I was really appreciative of the offer. But yeah, anything. If you have a local school, daycare center, kids like trucks, we do a little Touch a Truck thing. We'll let them make a mess in the trash bins. I bring like mustard and ketchup, and they squirt it all. Oh, the kids love it. They make a mess. I have them hold the remote control. They can lift the bins up. They can lower the bins. They see the before and after. The parents love it. I give the kids some candies and a little maze and some things.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now, wait, why have I not thought of like pre-Ks? I'm gonna make that my
Whole
homework
new
to
revenue
connect.
stream, right? Pre-Ks, daycare centers.
I'm like, wait, that would be like so cool. Like, and because it's interactive for the kids
Absolutely.
and stuff like
the
that.
kids love it. But those are the type of things I think also people don't necessarily think about trash bin cleaning, right? It's not just the residential homes that we serve, right? Restaurants, daycares. We worked with the old Ellicott City partnership
was gonna say,
2 years ago, and we cleaned all the buildings and their trash bins up and down Ellicott City, right? Old Ellicott City Main Street. So so many different opportunities. EW Beck's, we do some work for them, restaurant right here in Carroll County. There's so many different opportunities for our service, again, commercial, residential, bin cleaning, power washing, commercial, apartment buildings, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know now. I feel like my wheels are spinning. Like that's like so cool. Well, and I was gonna say, I know I went to an event in the fall. Maybe it was Parks and Rec. I think there was like the Halloween event, and they had a bunch. I mean, it was some of their like tractors and trunk or treat.
Yes.
Yeah, but they had like because they had a bunch of different types of trucks out there, and like my son is 5, and he's kids are so funny. I was like, and I'm sure you guys are the same ways. Like, in no way have I ever pushed gender on my kids, but it is just pure biology. Like, this kid went from like as soon as he turned like 3, it was like trains, right? Yeah. And trains are still like they're not a thing, but like Hot Wheels and dinosaurs and anything with wheels, really. Yes. And I thought that we would be the way that like trains came onto the scene and then we kind of moved to cars. I thought we would be on to the next thing, but I was like, no, we are
stuck with it.
We are in the wheels phase. That includes buses, that includes planes. Frankly, it includes boats. Like it's just everything.
We have a really good couple that we're friends with, and their son John is like obsessed with trucks. The kid just watches videos after videos. I can go over his house, show him pictures of my trucks. I mean, that's just a boy thing, right? It's fire trucks, dump trucks. They love it.
Yeah, like so into it. Oh my God. And I know that they've we'll be here for 4th of July. We were debating about whether we, because it's a Saturday this year. I was like, oh, it's perfect timing. But when I was doing like the vacation math, and I was like, my husband, like their office is usually open Saturday, so they'll close Saturday, which means he would have to work Friday. And I was like, that July 3rd, I think will be the worst travel day of the entire year. So I was like, no, I was
we'll
like,
stay home.
Exactly. I was like, and my mom's like, don't even because they have a place on the Eastern Shore.
Okay.
She's like, it's not even worth it. She was like, it's mobbed down here. Anyways,
sit on the Bay Bridge all weekend.
Exactly. I was like, no. So actually, well, what we're gonna do is I'll take the kids. We'll go Monday to Friday. We'll come home Friday. So and we have the pool anyway. So we'll be here. So we'll definitely be able to.
So we'll see you again.
Exactly. Every year. I know.
Love it. That is our favorite. I mean, by far, it is our favorite event. We decorate the truck. Make it all look July 4th and. The candy, the giveaways. It's just a great event, to be honest with you.
I know. Well, the other thing I was going to say too is, and not just plugging your business, because I know you've already done some of the stuff of just like, kind of like any green initiatives, because I know you've been involved in some of those events too, and just kind of a plug for anybody else that's like listening or thinking about it, whether it's a pre-K or a school or just other organizations. Like, I know you've done some things like that too, because yes, you're cleaning bins, but I think you're also being responsible. Absolutely. And with the products that you're using, how you're disposing of the water and the chemicals, and we're cleaning recycling bins, so it's also a great opportunity to kind of talk about.
Thank you for that. I mean, we actually won an award at Howard County's Green Fest a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was rewarding for me, because it is, again, the company is locally owned and operated here in Howard County. We are focused on our community, but to get a green initiative, you're right, because we're using environmentally friendly cleaning chemicals or soaps. We're not putting any of that water back into the storm drains, right? We're disposing of that properly. We're reducing the landfill, right? What happens if your trash bin got really, really bad over time? You're going to go to Home Depot. You're going to spend $60, $70. You're going to buy a new trash one.
Reason, right?
And where's that trash bin going? Over to the landfill as a piece of plastic that's not going to, biodegrade and go away over time, right?
And again, I think that sounds like, for some people, like on very, and this is not downplaying your service, but on very like basic level, like cleaning a trash bin, like what, like okay, like why do you need to do that? You know what I mean? But like when you think about it in that long term way, right? Because it kind of goes for everything in life. If you take care of
Absolutely.
what you have, you know, you can increase the life of those things. And this sounds like kind of wild, but like if we are going to have plastics in our life, which we can't avoid, you know, I hate what I'm about to say. We need to take care of the plastics because we don't want to have multiple.
Create more, right?
Right, exactly. So if we're going to have, it's like, you know, it's like when I buy sandwich baggies, which I try not to, but I will reuse. When I was growing up, I used them for everything.
Yes.
Now I'm so selective about it, you know. So anyways, when we think about a massive piece of plastic, right? You probably think, yeah, I'm going to have this for like 10 plus years, which you probably will. But granted, like again, depending on your HOA, your neighborhood, you know, where you store it, will also determine part of its life. But the other determining factor of its life is
the maintenance and upkeep.
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, people make the argument, well, Howard County gives us the recycling bins, right? So why do I care to clean it? Or if it breaks, they're going to bring out a new one. But again, it's just like anything else. You clean your car, you clean your house, you're maintaining it, you're prolonging it, you're like you said, the life expectancy or the lifetime that you're going to have that product is going to be longer. And again, too, if you let your house, we were talking about algae and a house turning green, if you just let that wall go green and you left it for years and years, right? I may not be able to clean it at that point. At that point, you may have to get your house resided, right? If it bothers you. But again, if you maintain it, right, a couple $100 every year, and you keep your house clean. Number one, curb appeal, right? You look, how your neighbors look at your house. But then again, the longevity of it. And even though it is a trash bin, again, go to Home Depot and see what a trash bin costs nowadays. They're not cheap.
Fast forward, like, you know, within the last year, right? Not even 7 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. No, exactly. Well, and, you know, it's funny. I think about, like, the quote-unquote green or, like, black spots, like, on our property. And it's primarily, again, the cement areas. Like, but, you know, we've also invested in trying to take care of our house. But I was like, man, if you have those dark green spots in your house, like, again, we have cedar planking. So, our neighborhood is riddled with, like, the woodpeckers, the carpenter bees. We've patched up many spots on our house because of, you know, those critters getting in. So like you want to talk about, like, I think like, okay, so power washing the black off my cement is vanity, right? Like that's not necessarily going to grow to be a massive problem necessarily, but if it's on my house, like again, I have cedar planking, you know, so that would be a major issue for us.
But you also mentioned like your step parents or you know your grandparents that are a little bit older. Algae, when it gets wet, gets very, very slippery. So I see front steps.
Oh yeah.
There's a community near our house, and they're all like the front door is up, you know, a little bit of a staircase. And I drive around and I look at the stairs, and most of them are like just gray, black, you know, covered in algae. You see a few clean ones where people have actually power washed them, but those steps get really dirty, you know, if it gets wet outside. So it can be a safety thing as well, but it is more cosmetics as a whole.
Yeah, no, but that's a really good point because that's actually sort of true. I mean, again, not as maybe as bad, but we get more of the sun in the back of the house, which is like good because that's where our pool is, which ironically pool gets fully shaded by 3:00. But like our house is sun blasted, whereas the front gets a little bit more shade. So, you know, so you think about the balance of your property and things like that. So for a lot of homes where your house is situated sort of similarly, you could be in the same issue with your front steps. And again, you might be thinking like, oh, like I'm in my 30s, whatever, like I'm well able-bodied and thing like that. Again, that might be totally fine. But it's thinking about it again, if you don't think about it now and it's extra and it's got that like, you know, layer of like, you know, moss and algae that come the winter time when you have, you know, it's already going to be slippery.
That's it.
It's got like no traction.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it goes back to like, you know, you're like, if you have cement, just like if you have asphalt, like there's no way around it. It's like cement, I've learned, I was like, it's so annoying to upkeep because visually it turns black immediately. But I've realized that's just the price of having it.
It's the catch-22. You know, asphalt, you can just get it real, you know, seal coated, right? And it's black again. Concrete, you got to put some work into it. You got to put some love into it.
You know, but that goes like, you know, we're talking about power wash, we're talking about our homes, we're talking about our bins, you know. Again, these sound like, you know, not necessarily like the mandatory services in our life, but they do make a difference.
Sure.
They make a difference.
Garage floors, right? We had a lady call us last year. She was spring cleaning. She pulled everything out of her garage. I mean, she had kids, so it was like, you know, the tennis rackets, the basketballs, all the stuff was outside of her garage. And she's like, my garage floor looked horrible. she called me up. We came, we surface cleaned it, and she's like, I have like my garage. She didn't want to bring anything back in her garage. It looked so well. So she ended up putting like the shelves up and put everything on the ceiling. But you know, people take a lot of those things. Like you said, it's not a necessity. I clearly admit you don't have to get your trash bins cleaned, right? But it's like anything else. Right? Again, I go back to, you know, I'm not going to compare your trash bin to your bathroom, right? Obviously, you're going to clean your bathroom because you got to use it all the time. Of course. But it's the same maintenance. It's the same mentality of keeping it clean, healthy, longevity.
Exactly. Well, and I just go back to, again, your services are so affordable. It's so reasonable that it's like, why not do like the set it and forget it? Because you have the recurring, it just makes it easy. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yes, so it's an easy thing to add into your life, and hopefully you're taking it off the burden of whether it's your partner, your dad, your father-in-law, whatever, or you're doing it for your parents or a neighbor. You know what I mean?
And that's a goal too, right? We also offer gift cards, right? I'll throw that out there. So if you know your neighbor's house, really you don't love your neighbor's house, right? Maybe you can give them a little nudge, or if you do have a friend and family member in the area, you know, you can give them a gift card. You know, you and I have ran promos and different events together, you know, and we'll continue to do that. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, for me, I started this business in a way to kind of, it's a business, right? I want to make money. I want to grow it.
Absolutely.
But I want to give something back to the community. I wanted to do something. I joke around this kind of like a tagline, right? Is we're like that business that you didn't know existed, but now you can't live without, right?
I know.
Like, that's how we want to tag it. And that's the hardest thing for me and that's why, again, thank you so much for these type of opportunities, because it's getting the word out, right?
Yeah.
99% of the people that sign up for my service are like, I had no idea there was a professional bin cleaning service. Yeah, most people don't.
No.
Right? And even now, we have grown significantly year over year over year. Again, this is our 4th year. But when I look at my numbers and how many people have tried my service, it's a fraction, right, of how many live just in Howard County alone, right? So we're hoping that the organic growth keeps coming, right? You know, we obviously do a lot of marketing and Facebook ads and all that type of stuff. Costs a ton of money, right? But we hope that grassroots, right, organic opportunities like this, doing community events, just getting the word out there, having, look, we're nearing 200 5-star reviews. Like that's a huge thing for me, right? Like when I get, and I'll share with you a couple that I just got over the last few days. One was from a single mother who was like, this business is a godsend, right? Like I don't have the time. My bins were gross. And she was like so thankful and appreciative. She gave my driver a tip, which, you know, is a new thing. We can give my drivers tips this year. But the point being was like, she was so thankful. She had never heard, she saw our truck in the neighborhood. She's like, I'm going to give it a try. And she's like, you have a customer for life now. She's like, she was telling all of her friends and neighbors about us. You know, so the point is that's what makes it so rewarding to me, right? Is I see those Google reviews. I see people sign up. You know, I have people call me for touch a truck events or different things. That's when I know we're getting traction, and that's when I know it's a service that people do care about, people do want, people do love it. So we just hope to see that continue.
Absolutely. And it will. And it will. 4 is my lucky number, so I think I'm going to be sending that energy out for both of us.
I don't know if we touched on my obsession with the number 4, but I am like this, seriously, like my birthday is May 4th. Everything around me revolves around the number 4. And I'll be honest with you, you know, I'm sure you can appreciate this as a small business owner, an entrepreneur. Like over the winter, I had those thoughts going through my head, like, you know, do I really want to do this again? Like, it's exhausting. It's a lot of work. Do I just want to, like, last year before my daughter goes to college, do I just want to really kind of just chill?
Right.
And my wife looked at me and she's like, you know what year this is, right? I said, no, what are you talking about? She's like, this is going into year 4. And everything in my life revolves. So it's funny. I just had to give
you're like locked
That's
in.
it. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. Like, let's make year 4 the best year possible. And so I'm really, really excited. It started off well. I took on a lot of stresses this winter. I redid my website. I switched CRMs, which is our our routing
massive undertaking
software. I did it all, and of course I'm a procrastinator, so I waited. Our season started March 23rd.
You're
right?
like, okay,
it was like beginning of March, and I'm like, I still haven't done all these things yet, but everything's gone great without a hitch, off without a hitch. My new driver, Marcus, is doing absolutely phenomenal. I'm so grateful to have found
That's great.
a good driver, and we call him a service technician. But
Yeah.
he's the one out there. So if you see Marcus out there cleaning bins,
Nice.
give him a shout
Nice.
out, give him a hello, welcome him to the MD Clean family.
Yeah.
But no, we're really excited for this year, and
That's great.
see what we can do.
Well, I think you were absolutely not alone in and again, I realize, you have a business where you have like your main season, right? Not that there's no work on during the off season, but I can imagine it's very easy to slip into those thoughts because you kind of like settle down for a little bit, but same one. I mean, a quarter one is slow for me. I think slow for most businesses in the area too. And then, again, the economy hits last year was brutal for
Presidential
everybody.
elections, the economy.
Oh, God.
It was definitely a tougher year for us.
Oh, for sure.
And people tightened up the belt buckles a little bit, right? And it was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to go to Starbucks, maybe I don't need to get my trash bin cleaned. And again, that's fine. We had, when the government shut down, we definitely had a few people say, hey, unfortunately, I've got to cancel this service. But, like you said, for us, we typically start end of March. We typically go, towards Thanksgiving, December. We're contemplating staying open year round, and we would if there was enough of demand. There's plenty of people out in Ohio and Chicago that run year round. You are working with water, so it is a safety thing as it gets below freezing temperatures.
Right, and then you're dealing with like that kind of weather too.
That's it,
so
too. And then it's not safe to drive the truck.
No,
guy
it's
out
like
there. And at that point, truthfully, in the middle of December, do you really care how clean your trash bin is?
No,
it's cold, it's freezing.
The smell isn't.
The smell's not as bad, but we are pretty busy throughout the year, and then again, obviously, when it gets a little bit warmer, that's when people start noticing the need for it.
So there's nothing wrong with aligning it with that. So, well, cheers to year 4. Cheers to you. I'm looking forward to another great year, another great season for you. So again, if people, where can they go to find you? Sign up, all of that.
So easy. So our website is www.mdclean.us. Website is very easy to navigate. If you go to the website and you scroll down a little bit, there's our basic trash cleaning, the one time, the monthly, the recurring. You hit sign up. It's going to ask you what your address is just to make sure you're within our service zone. From there, a few clicks of the mouse, you enter your information. It's going to tell you what date you're getting your bins cleaned, and then you're going to get a text reminder the day before. So you can go to our website. You can text me. You can call me. Our local number is 410-844-8143 or 866 Dirty Bin DRT.
Nice.
Bin.
Yeah.
And last thing I would say, you can email me, right? hello@mdclean.us. Really smoke signals, whatever it is.
I will show up.
I will show up. I'm happy to come out and give an estimate for power washing services. Happy to come out and meet with a community or HOA board, do a demonstration, show you what we're capable of. Happy to offer discounts, for friends, family, communities. But other than that, go to the website, give me a call, check us out, whatever we can do to help.
Cheers. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Josh. Thank you for being here today, and can't wait to see what you have in store for year 4.
Thank you. Let's hope it's success. I appreciate it.
Exactly.
Thank you for all your support.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talk Maryland. If you loved it, leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag me at the.columbiamom on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep supporting local, and keep being the incredible mom, woman, human that you are.